My name is Marc Lebert. I am a lifelong fitness enthusiast and fitness professional. I invented a product called the Lebert Equalizers. I own a gym that we're in right now called Fitness Nation. And I still teach, I still do personal training, and I absolutely love what I do. I was drawn to the fitness industry because I was a young man who was very skinny, and when I was in college I'm like, I gotta put on some weight, and I started lifting, and then I went and worked security, then I went to university and I kept lifting, and fitness was always part of my life. I didn't see it as a career until I left university, and I had two job offers. One was at Square One to work security. I was gonna be Paul Blart Mall Cop. And the other one was working at a small gym at the airport called Curzon's. And I started there at $8.25 an hour. I vacuumed the pool, I did access control, folded towels, signed up people for memberships, and started training people on the floor. This is before personal training even started happening. And it just fell into it. People would always ask me questions about fitness because I was so enthused and so into it that it just became, okay, they're asking me, I'll start training them. It just became a job that I kind of fell into. As you know, being a business owner, you wear many hats. I wear the hat of fitness instructor, personal trainer, helping run the business. I don't do a lot of the operations, as we chatted off camera. I'm not the best with numbers. And yeah, you have to kind of compartmentalize. You know, I will spend some time in the mornings on social media, I'll spend some time on emails, I'll spend some time on building the Lebert Fitness business and working with the product side of things. And then of course I teach at night. So many different hats, many different roles, all of them, I love each and every one of them. I don't know if I necessarily decided that I was going to be a business owner and open a gym. I think it was almost out of necessity. I had a small studio, and a lot of people wanted to start training with us, and there wasn't any room, so we just had to expand. We expanded into a facility that was about 5,000 square feet. We ran wild boxing and boot camp classes, and that was, you know, geez, we're going back many years. We've been here 15 years, and that was 10 years before that. So 25 years ago was our first actual gym. The Equalizer was, it just kind of hit me one day when I was driving home from a client's home. They wanted to be able to do chin-ups in the door frame, and their husband could do it, and I said, well, you know, this isn't really appropriate for you. Maybe I'll get you a lat pull-down machine. They're like, we don't want to take up the space in the gym. So as I was driving, I'm like, why don't I just call my buddy, Paul, who is in Hamilton at a steel factory. He's a manager. I said, can I come in tonight and can we weld some stuff up? And he said, sure. So I brought a case of beer, because that's what a good Canadian boy does. And we welded up the first set of equalizers. Took them to clients' homes, started playing around with the idea, and from there we just we built some and brought it to trade shows that did well, and then we had a product on our hands. The equalizers are being sold all around the world, mainly in the US and throughout Europe. We have a distributor, a master distributor that goes throughout Europe. They're in a lot of countries, so like probably over 30 countries. A lot of equalizers were sold over the years and still in use, but there's also a lot of equalizers that are sold now that aren't ours. So a lot of knockoffs. The majority probably is now cheap copies. Wow, I love that question. What excites me most about the fitness industry today is that people are coming back from being sheltered, being locked down. I've noticed just in the last few months a huge uptick in people wanting to get out, want that human experience, want that connection. A fitness class on Zoom is good, it fills some gaps, but honestly being immersed in a bunch of other like-minded individuals and the energy that comes with that is what I'm super excited about. My entire life was all about health and fitness, and when I received the diagnosis, I realized that my entire life was about physically moving, physically being strong, whether for aesthetics or athletics, but it wasn't true health, and true health involves a lot of other things. People think health is a thing or energy is a thing. It's a process, and I was really good at some stuff and obviously not great at other things, and accessing my emotional health was for me the biggest part of healing. Oh wow, I didn't think that would hit hard. Probably felt the way I'm feeling right now, just surprise, shock, really surreal. I had no idea that I felt young and healthy and strong, and then getting that news, it just was overwhelming. But being who I am, after about a week of talking with family and friends, I was like, screw this. Nothing's gonna stop me and slow me down. And I started doing all the things that I said were important to me that I would say to clients that they should be doing and don't always follow myself. Things like, I wasn't hydrating enough, not even close. I got back into my meditation. I got back into gratefulness and grounding. The biggest thing I did by far was seeking out a Reiki specialist. And a lot of times, the Reiki, I would say that Tony, he's in Hamilton, I would say that Tony basically, in some ways, saved my life. It was a safe space. We hold so much in, and especially males, we have to be strong all the time. And we just hold everything in. And the first 10 sessions on his table, I just cried. And he was just like, let it out, man. This is so good. This is so good. And after every session, I just felt elevated and light and get all that out of my system. Because really what's disease? It's dis-ease, uneasiness. And I had a lot of that I would just hold in through muscle tension and alcohol and everything else. And this was an opportunity for me to start to really focus on true health. And so since then, I've been really feeling amazing. And sometimes it takes a real scare or kick in the butt to move towards greater health. So leading up to this diagnosis, I was going through a lot. I had some incredibly tumultuous relationships. I was going through a divorce, I was going through moves, I was going through a lockdown. Like, there was a lot on my plate. And I feel like once this happened, it helped me gain clarity as to who I wanted to be, and it helped me access more energy, because with the Reiki and with the proper hydration and with my meditations and with all the things I needed to do to get my energy back, it really, believe it or not, I felt way better after the diagnosis and starting to focus on my personal health rather than necessarily everything else. I had to just really work on myself for a while. My energy went through the roof. I got back to teaching, like the classes I used to teach and the energy and everything else. And people constantly, even within the last few weeks, will come in here and always ask me how I have so much energy. And it's because I think it's largely due to the fact that I was so scared that I don't want to go back there. So the recovery process is interesting because I have what's called chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Thankfully, it's not acute. So basically what they're doing is they say it's a watch and wait. The good news is that they wanted to see me every month, and then it was every 3 months. Now it's every 9 months or a year. I can't remember now. So she doesn't want to see me very often. So in other words, the work that I was doing myself, because honestly, the system doesn't give you a lot of information. They handed me a pamphlet, that's it. So I had to go find out what it is I needed to do to make myself healthy. So now I don't have to go very often. A buddy of mine, when I called him and I told him what I had and stuff, and he got all freaked out, and then he calls me the next day, he goes, "Mark, you got the Coors Lights of cancer. Don't worry, it's all good." I thought that was awesome, the Coors Light of cancer. And so and another thing that's really interesting, I had a long-term infection in my ankle before this that took 9 months to diagnose. Finally, a doctor said, "Do you have hardware in there?" Because I had Achilles surgery before. And I was close to being septic. I was in septic shock and I went to emergency surgery. My surgeon that initially did the surgery fixed it for me. But that was 9 months of being under high stress in terms of infection. And I think that's what kind of triggered this. So I do know that I can beat it, but I have to give my body the ability to heal itself. And that's with the proper nutrition, with PrevCan, that's with proper hydration, proper strength, proper rest. Sleep is so important, oh my goodness. And meditation and all the other things I'm doing. So I think that I'm gonna be stronger at the end of this. Well, I know I am. Yeah, I think that question is absolute paramount for people to listen to, because we're so busy and we're so disassociated. We're living in our head all the time and not even necessarily knowing what's going on with our body. I do a lot of meditation with clients, and most of the time they're like pretty resistant to it because they're so used to being busy, and then when they just take a deep breath, like honestly, a deep breath is like an internal hug. It's so good for your organs and your physiology and your well-being that they're largely unaware of what's going on with their body. And I was too. I wasn't paying attention. And I think if we can slow down and start to get a little bit more connected with our bodies, we'll be able to, find out where the uneasiness is and start to address that. Support comes in a lot of ways. Like, I got really close buddies and friends and business partners, and they started like a Team Lebert kind of group chat and made sure they checked in on me every day. And of course I'm fine now, but in the beginning it was pretty scary. And of course my son, and as I mentioned previous, Tony, the Reiki specialist. My perspective has changed dramatically, but also is just more aligned to what I initially believed back before I got too busy and ignored everything that I needed to pay a little more attention to. I used to be really big into meditation, and then I just got too busy and let it go. And I used to be really big into my health, and then I got too busy and started drinking too much. And I'm not saying I'm an alcoholic. I just enjoy a drink, but over time that adds up. And what I needed to change was to slow down, to breathe. I think that most people are largely unaware that the biggest change they can make in their life is the thing they do most often. They're just habitually unaware of the stress breathing. So slow down and breathe. I've really anchored in a lot of breathing exercises and calmness into different parts of my day. So for example, when I walk my dog, the first thing I do when I step outside is I put my hands up. I just breathe and just pay attention to what I'm doing in the moment. And that's a big one too. When I'm with my son, it's not like we have to do a ton of different things, and it's not like I need to see him all the time, but when you do, be present. And I think most of us are either living in the past or have so much anxiety about the future that we rarely get grounded. And we're on our phones constantly. So breathing is so important. Hydration is so important. Sleeping's key. And of course, I don't think that the nutrition most people are getting is anywhere near what they should be getting. Our food supply is with industrial agriculture is just awful. Most everything that I eat is organic as best I can. So lots of little changes, again, health is a process, add up to a big difference in the way you feel. I am uber motivated for a lot of reasons, but mainly because I have those pictures and visions and images of what I want my life to be, and I work on them all the time. I think that most high performers write down their vision most every day. And so what keeps me motivated? I have this weird vision of myself teaching group fitness at the age of 90, and then everybody looking at me going, who's this young man? You know what I mean? Like, it's just in my head, it's just gonna be wild. So it always keeps me motivated to do the right things to stay young, longevity and all that stuff. I have a lot of goals around business. I have a lot of goals around travel with my son and my family. I have a lot of things that I want to move towards. So motivation for me is never difficult. I'm always like uber motivated. Sometimes it's not always working as great as it should, but I'm always uber motivated. What I would say to someone who gets an unexpected diagnosis is be upset. It's not fun. It's awful. But you can't move on to change until you address that. Like, feel it. Allow yourself to feel it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just counterproductive to stay there. So get that emotion out, because emotions are interesting, because a lot of times people want to feel happy, but they're so trying not to feel sad that they never address that, and then the happiness doesn't come in. So until you thoroughly and fully feel that, the next emotion can't come in. That would be my first. Second is understand that it's happening for you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. There's a reason. What that is up to you to figure out. I know what it is for me. I know what it is for me. My reason is to not only overcome it, but to be massively energized towards a vision and a future that's exciting to me, because I know that's going to inspire a lot of people. Oh man, what am I most proud of? That's a great question. Probably the simple things. You have the power to decide how you want your day to go. Is it going to go by in a blink of an eye super fast, or are you going to slow it down? Because life is finite, and before you know it, your kid's 21, and you're like, where did all that time go? And lately, everything's been slowing down for me. My interactions with people, my teaching, my business relationships, everything's been much more fulfilling. So when I think of CamPrev, a lot of things come to mind. I was doing a bit of a deep dive into the website, and I could not believe all the amazing products, because I've been buying CamPrev for years. I would just go to like Healthy Planet and pick stuff out, and for some other reason, I've always been attracted to, CamPrev's products. But more than anything right now is the collagen. I've been taking the collagen and putting it in the water, because I take all my stuff in the morning before I go, and it mixes. Half the time when you mix collagen, it's on your spoon and it's gummy and it's awful. So I think the quality is probably one of the best things, but also the education around, the products, because it's not as simple as one collagen. There's actually several collagens and several different ways to take supplements that I am still learning about, and I'm absolutely fascinating to learn more about it. So one of my long-term goals is to open my own art studio. I'm a lifelong artist. I love painting. Obviously fitness has been my career, but I want to go back to my first love, which is painting every day and having like a little studio in the back where I do my thing, and then a little upfront thing where people can come in and see the works. That's my long-term goal. So I started painting at a very, very young age. I've always been drawn to art, but growing up in Southern Ontario, you play hockey, and I didn't want to say to my friends, I'd rather be painting than playing hockey. So I really got into sports and fitness, and that's great. I actually love expressing my body in a physical way, and my paintings actually show that. There's lots of movements and colors. So I kind of let that go for years and years and years, but maybe about 20 years ago, I decided, I'm quite confident with who I am as a person. I'm just going to start painting again. And the creativity's never, ever stopped coming out of me. I invented products, I'm painting, I'm writing, I'm doing all this stuff. So I started painting again, and I have to be careful when I paint, because if you know any artists, we're manic. So I'll start painting after dinner. I'll have like a little rum and OJ to get the process going. I'm in the garage, and next thing you know, the sun's coming up. And I'm like, I got clients to train. So I will paint all night, and I won't even think of energy. I won't even think of being tired. I'll just go. And that's just, I think true artists have this weird antenna that where the universe just pumps all this energy into them and they just push it out. Anyways, I love painting. I think the painting helps with my health journey because, again, it gets me into a state of flow and a state of being present, and also helps me access, because we're so busy accessing like conscious thought, it helps me get into that unconscious place where I'm just feeling the energy and the flow, and I don't, you're bouncing between the two. You're thinking this is nice, but also where'd that time go? It's really a fun thing. Oh wow, so many. Lots of business advice, lots of personal advice. I would say on the personal side, stop trying to make everybody happy. You're just gonna make so many people upset. If you feel a certain way about something, bring it up, don't hold it in for years. Because that has been, I don't know, maybe I was just conditioned or grew up to, avoiding confrontation, but I think it's so important to have those important conversations because they're never as bad as you think, and then you can move on. But I would hold things in for 20 years. One message I would like to send to all Canadians is take care of your physiology first. Breathe, hydrate, and move daily. That is the key. The other thing I'd like to say is Lebert Fitness and 9 Round and all our partners, we're coming up with a program, and we're just launching this tomorrow actually, around petitioning the government not to tax fitness. So we want all the tax off of fitness so that we can start to create a conversation around this is something that all Canadians should be doing. It's important for the health of the individual and the community and the country.